I think for some of us it's still a shock that this is actually 2012, because for some of us we've been talking about it so long and having a sense of it so long. I mean, I suppose I started my own journey in this life to this point when I was 4 years old, and a discarnate presence came into my room as I was settling under the sheets for bed, and I started to have a conversation. And at 4 years old, hey, it's natural, it's normal, what's the problem? And that being eventually named himself as Thoth, the Egyptian wisdom bringer. But it began to open me up to a reality that, and realities that I suppose many other people hadn't felt able to, or perhaps society had sort of helped to shut them down to. But for me, I never was shut down. For me, I was walking between worlds from the age of 4, and it was normal. And so when I started studying cosmology, which I did also at the age of 4, my mum bought me The Boys' Book of Space by Patrick Moore, because there wasn't a girls' book of space. And so I started studying astronomy at that age. I started studying ancient Egyptian wisdom teachings at that stage. And what I was trying to understand is how what I was experiencing as I walked between worlds somehow became the physical realm. And that's been a lifelong quest, a lifelong journey for me to understand. I don't know if any of you saw the Paralympics opening ceremony. Did you? Yes. Yeah? Do you remember where Stephen Hawking said, "Be curious"? Yes. I'm curious. And I've been curious since a little girl. I actually met Stephen when I was 20 years old, because when I was doing my master's at Oxford, I was an undergrad, and he came along to give a lecture to the postgrads and the doctoral and the department. And I was invited to sit in on that. And already he'd been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. And at that stage, still a very young man, he had great difficulty in communicating, but he did. And I actually ended up writing an essay on black holes. And this is back in '72. And it won the university prize. And what's fascinating for me is, having gone all the scenic routes since then, I'm now writing not so much about black holes, but going beyond them to actually look at what leading edge science is talking about in its latest attempt to understand the physical realm. But I look back on the 19, 20-year-old me sitting in that room in awe of Stephen Hawking. And that day actually was the day I decided I wasn't going to become a physicist. And it's a weird thing because, we talk about experiencing life forward and understanding it backwards. Well, it was only in years to come that I realized that day I'd somehow made a choice that I wasn't going to be a professional scientist as such. And I think part of it was seeing that level of brilliance and thinking, I can never match that. Let me go and do something else. But it was also spirit, I feel, speaking through me. Because one of the things that I really want to share with you today, and hopefully leave with you today, is how each and every one of us is on this scenic journey. Every single one of us. I mean, can you put your hands up? Anybody who thinks you know what's coming in the next few months? Next few weeks? Next 10 minutes? Somebody almost put their hand up, but I think it was a no. But that's the point. I started off at 4 years old, walking between worlds. And all the time I was growing up, I assumed I would be an academic physicist, because that's what I was going for. My dad was a coal miner. He passed over when I was 10. Mum brought my brother and I up, full of love, no money. That was okay. So I started working from the age of 11, or 10 or 11, when Dad died. But my whole focus was that I was going to be a scientist. I was going to be an academic scientist. And then Spirit had different ideas. And when I was 20, having seen Stephen Hawking and realising that maybe I might not, everything went pear-shaped. I fell, out of everything and ended up in business instead. So what I'd gone for from the age of 4 to the age of 20, 16 years, was thrown aside. And suddenly I did this right-angle turn and went on a completely different route into business. But the point was that nothing's wasted. So everything that I'd learned in that period of time came back and stayed with me in some way or another. And even though I wasn't able to sort of look ahead, what I did, and I realise it now, I just followed my passion. Until another sign or another way station in the road came up, and then I did whatever else came next. But the point of it is that over all of those years, just by following that passion, what I've realised is that all the threads in my life have come together to enable me to do what I do now. And yet, even though at the time, until about 15 years ago, I thought, I'm planning this. Ha! Ha ha! I realised that what it is Spirit flowing through us. The cosmos, cosmic mind, Spirit, whatever it is, just guiding us along a particular path. Till that particular path has come to its completion, and then it's another path. And so many times when I share this with people, it's their aha, it's their path. The thing that I've learned is that nothing is ever wasted. Nothing. Whatever experiences we have are there for a reason, there for a purpose. They have meaning even when we don't figure that they've got meaning. They have. And the other thing that I'm feeling now is that for all of us, every single one of us, not just in this room, but has come many lifetimes to this point. And I know that's a lovely mind, body, spirit blend. But I really feel the truth of that. Do you feel that? Yes. Good. And it's as though whatever we've been experiencing, whatever journeys we've been on, have come to this point again for a reason. So what is that reason? And I'd like to spend most of the time together this morning exploring what that reason's about, what this moment's about. We talk about 2012, we've been banging on about 2012 for who knows how long. And it's not just the Mayan elders that see this as a key point, as a point of shift. It's many other traditions. And not just from, it's a consciousness, but it's consciousness as expressed in what we call reality, that is cycling and spiraling to this point, to this tipping point, to this transformational point of change. But what is it all about? And what is it all about the other side of that? If there is another side of that, what does it mean? What does it mean for each and every one of us? And what does it mean for us as a collective psyche? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just go to the side for a moment and just talk a little bit more about our collective journey to this point. And then I'd like to share a little bit more about my sense of what's happening now and what it means for each and every one of us. And then perhaps we can explore what it means in terms of not just 2012, but as 2012 becomes 2013 and onwards and onwards. The Mayans, as I'm sure we all know, don't see this as the end of the world. They see it as an end of an era. They see it as a point in which an era, and for the Mayan elders who are now living, see it very much as the end of an unsustainable era, an era where we've almost fragmented our psyche, we've dismembered our psyche. So this point is the potentiality for us literally to remember who we really are. And as we remember who we really are, we can actually come together and co-create a new era, a new step in our evolutionary journey.